Yeah, between all the plugins, all the different characters, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of skills and animations and other aspects throughout the game.
So you picked up a very hard project. I want to know how'd that come about? Like, how did you pick this up?
The origin of the project, I'm not exactly familiar with, but eventually it came to my desk. You know, we had this goal of, okay, we basically need to put this thing on consoles, right? We want to be able to offer it to people on places like Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and we looked at it and we said, well, it looks like we are going to have to basically do a remake of this thing. And so we settled on the Unity engine, which our team is somewhat familiar with. We've also done a couple other similar projects like that, such as Doki Doki here.
Okay, so you're part of the Doki Doki port.
I was involved on that as kind of like a technical leader on it.
That's funny. That makes sense because, you know, those two games together is like a weird peanut butter and jelly kind of situation.
There are some similarities in the kind of project.
The themes of masculinity in one, the themes of femininity in one, and the inversions of both.
Sure.
That's kind of fun. I feel like you had a fun couple of years in a very challenging environment.
Sure.
What challenges were there in porting Lisa?
I would say it was just the sheer complexity of it.
Yeah.
You know, when we started, we kind of had this feeling of like we know what we have to do, but we don't know just like fully how deep it goes. And that was the thing we kept finding is that the more we kept looking into these systems we had to create, it kind of felt like an endless rabbit hole of complexity. When you think about all the different systems and the way that they interact in RPG Maker.
And how do you come up from that? Because like, there's so many pieces of it. Like, which part do you like attack first to like unravel the web?
I think ultimately you just have to start somewhere. You know, when you're recreating an event system like that, you kind of have to just dig into like, what does the engine support? How can we create a framework to be able to basically support all those features? And then as you keep going through it, you kind of make discoveries about like all the weird edge cases that exist within the system. And you effectively are like recreating each piece of this engine in terms of like, what can something do? Like, we're not taking an exact like copy every behavior like down to its core of how it was implemented, but we are recreating the functionality of how that works.
Right, and not only can you not do that, but also you don't have to, because Lisa is a complex beast, and there's edges to it that were not necessarily intentional, but were part of the thing they were making it with. You know, it's
right. I mean, I think over time you can come up with plugins to figure out things more efficiently, but throughout a game development process, you don't always figure that stuff out immediately.
No, you just kind of have to build the scaffolding and hope it kind of holds.
You know, for example, like I don't know how Austin was able to stay sane because every time you jump,
we never know that. Yeah, that's the thing. I played Lisa, and that was what I was questioning the whole time.
Every time you jump down a ledge, every time you like or basically jump up, jump down, fall, like every one of those is done with like a manually copy-pasted event that says like this.
That's not a thing RPG Maker can do.
Like I've seen some plugins I think that can support that.
Yeah.
But at least in this case, you know, everything in that was like, okay, if I press this input here, I'm gonna jump up, and then like for every one of those, it's gonna be a different distance, right? Like 2 tiles, 3 tiles. I mean, there are sometimes individual maps with hundreds of these.
Oh my God, yeah. No, it's like the scale of Lisa is already massive in a weird way, just because of how like you're not on a grid system, you have to move left and right, there's ups and downs, and then there's like 3-dimensionality to it in a way that RPG Maker doesn't work. And you've got like the bike scenes and stuff. You have, you know, biking and stuff that you can do, and that's...
I'm sure you're thinking about the motorcycle scene especially.
I'm thinking specifically about the motorcycle scene because that's so unlike anything that you could do. So that's a whole other challenge for you, right?
Well, it's... A lot of it comes down to the way these things interact with how these were set up. You know, we would find all sorts of edge cases throughout the engine where, like, something that seems simple, it's like, well, depending on what order this thing runs in and how many updates of, like, different, because there's all these, like, you know, things about, like, how we check conditions for when things run and, like, the execution orders of all that. Like, you really have to dig into the nitty-gritty. And sometimes you go for a while and you think you got it right, and then you realize, oh, actually, this doesn't quite conceptually fit together, and you got to rethink it.
That's amazing. get to the new definitive edition, there's a couple things they have to change because this is all stuff that's going to come out in consoles. And so we don't have like cigarettes anymore.
Yeah.
That's not a currency in the game. And I think a lot of people saw that and were like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're adults now. We get it.
Right. I might defer any discussion of this specifically to Chris here.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
well,
we
that's
probably
fine. That's fine.
This question.
The other side of that question that I wanted to ask, is there any other challenges that came up when porting it to the consoles?
Well, I'll give you a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted to add a bunch of features to this game that didn't exist in the original.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that you've added to this, right?
You know, for example, like the vibration features. You know, we really had to do a lot of digging to figure out how to support it to the extent of what we wanted here. You know, and for example, as you're moving around, like you can jump up a ledge, jump down a ledge. Like every one of those has a, you know, like a haptic to it, right? And
Yep.
we had to figure out like how do we get all these hooks into the game, right?
Right.
A lot of it we had to add manually. You know, we were going through basically the game like event by event, at least for some of the major ones, and finding ways to be able to basically put these calls in that we could use.
Yes, yeah.
And then for some cases we did like certain pattern detections to be able to support things like, you know, some platforming throughout the game. So there was just a lot of technical complexity in that. On top of the fact that like every platform is different in terms of how, you know, your vibration feels. So you gotta
Like every one of them,
like,
yeah.
for as nitty gritty as we got in terms of trying to give it that haptic experience, we had to go through just so much polish to make it work across all these different controller
Like
types.
the Joy-Cons and the, you know, Xbox Rumble and stuff. Yeah, those are all completely
We really
different.
wanted to like flesh it out too beyond what most games do. You know, like for Xbox controllers, we were doing stuff where we would take audio and turn it into like curves for vibration and
Wow.
developing technology that we thought could make it a little bit more immersive than what you get in most games.
Yeah, no, that's going to add a lot to anyone who plays through it again.
Yeah, that was the thing, is like the game just has this kind of almost haptic component itself. Like it's a very visceral experience, and so
Yeah.
we really wanted to use the haptics to enhance that for players, kind of give you this extra layer of immersion throughout, and even occasionally tell a good joke with it. You know, there's like the weightlifting scene, for example.
Yes.
And we, like for PlayStation specifically, we were able to add adaptive trigger features.
Really?
So that like,
So when you
right, so like when Brad has to, instead of button mashing on the PlayStation version, you're actually like doing left and right on the triggers quickly.
Oh, I love
And
that. Oh, that's so funny.
And the harder the
Yeah.
difficulty is, the stronger the resistance.
Stronger the resistance is. Of course.
We wanted to add just like little jokes like that throughout to give it that extra layer of charm.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next was, you know, is there any other parts that you got to add in there that you're really, you know, excited about for people to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the new content we got to add as well. I think the campfire conversation's a bit of a big hit.
That's the thing that I was kind of excited about because Lisa was all about these, like anything can happen at the campfire. If you save, that is
Yeah.
a risk that you are taking. And so expanding on that was like, yes, this would be a great place to
Right, and we
add
wanted this.
some more
We
depth.
wanted this to be an extension of that and give people a chance to know some of these party members a little bit better, give them a little bit more, you know, fleshed out stuff.
love that.
So we were able to work with Austin to get a lot of these new, basically conversations, you know, written and implemented.
That's beautiful. So when is there any release date right now for?
It actually just came out.
It's out right now, right?
Yes, it is out, available right now on all platforms.
It's already on all the platforms too.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's got to feel really good.
Yes, it's been a real burden off, but I'm glad that we got it out and people seem mostly happy with it.
Well, congratulations on it. I'm excited to get to finally play it again.
Yeah. No, I hope you get to go back and re-experience it again.
And yeah, thanks for taking some time with us today.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks.
Have a great rest of PAX.
Thanks. You too.